amount to open a self-directed IRA account. Hey everyone, Adam Bergman, tax attorney, founder of IRA Financial, and welcome to another episode of AdBits. On today's podcast, how much is the minimum amount you need to open a self-directed IRA account? And the answer is, doesn't matter. Why? Because it's about the future. Anyone could open an IRA. So there are requirements that we will discuss in the next few minutes to determine what is the income limitations for opening an IRA or a Roth IRA. And then we're going to go through the concept of compounding returns to discuss about the power of the IRA vehicle. And the reason it's powerful is because it's based off the powerful mathematics and algebra of compounding returns, meaning the rule of 72, your money will double every 8 years, assuming a 9% rate of return. If you can average a 10% rate of return, your money will double probably around 7.2 years. So the amount you start with is not relevant, okay? Now, in the case of self-directed IRA investing, a self-directed IRA is an IRA that allows you to invest in alternative assets. It's the same thing as a regular IRA you'll open at Schwab or Fidelity. The only difference is a self-directed IRA is going to let you do non-publicly traded securities like real estate or private placements, gold, cryptos. So what do you need in that case to open an IRA? So I'm going to get to that as well. But let's start with how much you need to really just get started to open an IRA. So you could start an IRA at zero, right? You can open an IRA with no money, okay? Who can contribute to the IRA? Well, in 2024, the maximum amount you can put into an IRA is $7,000 if you're under 50 years old, $8,000 if you're over 50 years old. Now, you can roll over money from a former employer plan, 403B, 457, 401k, defined benefit, unlimited. So whether you have $8,000, $80,000, $800,000, $8 million, you could move that from a former employer, 401k or defined benefit plan into an IRA. That's not a contribution. From a contribution standpoint, if you don't have access to a 401k at work, even if you make $100 million, you can still put money in a pre-tax IRA. If you are married, filed jointly, and you have access to a 401k at work, and you make more than $143,000, then you technically cannot do a pre-tax IRA. And if you're married, filed jointly, but your spouse has access to a 401k and you don't, if you have less than 240k, you can open an IRA. If you have more than 240k, you cannot open a pre-tax IRA. Now, for the Roth IRA world, if you make more than $161,000 and you're single, you technically cannot do a Roth IRA. And if you're married, filed jointly, and make more than $240,000, technically you cannot do a Roth IRA. Why do I say technically? Because thanks to the backdoor Roth IRA since 2010, anyone can convert an after-tax IRA to Roth, irrespective of income. So even if you make $1 million a year, you can make an after-tax IRA contribution of $7,000 or $8,000 if you're over 50, and then immediately convert it to Roth. And since it's after tax, there's no tax on the amount of the conversion. So those are the specific rules to who can open or start an IRA. Okay. And the idea of compounding returns, as I mentioned, is your money's going to double every 8 years, assuming a 9% rate of return. So let me just throw some numbers at you. Let's say you are 23 years old and you just put away $1,500 a year from 23 to 70, and assuming a 7% rate of return, you're going to have $528,000 when you hit 70. Now, if you were able to get 8% rate of return, which is totally doable, right, you're going to have $733,000. Now, just so you know, over the last 100 years, the S&P 500 has averaged around a little bit over 10%. So when I'm using 7 or 8%, I'm being very conservative. So the point of this example is to show you that, hey, you could start an IRA 23 years old with $1,500 and it's worth it. Because so long as you just put in $1,500, you don't even increase your contribution based off your growing ability to do so based off your income growth as you get older. $1,500 from 23 to 70, assuming an 8% rate of return, you'll have $733,000 tax deferred or tax free. Now, what happens if you're 28, but instead of $1,500, you do, let's say, $2,000 a year going forward, not even increasing as you earn more money, staying static at $2,000 from 28 to 70, you're going to have 657K, assuming an 8% rate of return. So that's real money. Yes, time value of money, 650K in the next 40 years is going to be worth less than it is today, but it's still going to be worth something. Okay. Just like when in 1975, when ERISA created IRAs, the maximum contribution number was $2,000. Okay. $2,000 is $2,000. Now, obviously that was worth a lot more in 1975, but how much more? It's all relative. Remember, our inflation is, even though people think we're at a high inflation point, it's still a little bit over 3%. In the 80s, we had way higher interest rates, higher inflation, and we can adjust based off those factors. So just keep that in mind, that it's never too late to start. Start with $1 if you have to. Be consistent. Trust the process. You can do this. You don't need to start with $8,000. You don't need to start with 7,000 or 5,000. You don't need to start with 100,000. Every dollar counts, and the things that work in your favor is time and generating good returns. So now we know what it takes and what's at issue when starting an IRA in terms of income limitations, max contribution limits, power of compounding returns, and the ability to defer tax and have the money grow quicker based off the rule of 72. Now, what about the self-directed IRA world? So just, our average accounts, is in the six figures, right? Over $100,000 is the average self-directed IRA account with IRA Financial. Now, that doesn't mean if you have 20, 50, or 70 grand, there's nothing for you to do. That's not the case, right? In the case of a self-directed IRA, there's only three things you can't do. Everything else you can do. You can't buy life insurance, can't buy collectibles like art. And thirdly, under 4975, you're not allowed to engage in any transaction that directly or indirectly personally benefits you, your lineal descendants, your parents, your children, your spouse, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, or any entities controlled 50% or more by such persons. So can't buy a house and live in it, can't buy yourself a watch, can't buy your kids a car. You get it, right? But otherwise you can do it. So whether it's lending someone $30,000, investing in your neighbor's business for $25,000, investing in cryptocurrency for $5,000, buying gold for $15,000. There are things you can do with less than $100,000. Now, are many people opening a self-directed IRA with $1,000? No, they did in 2020, 21, and 22, because cryptos, people just wanted to dabble in it and would open an account for a few $1,000 just to buy, NFTs or certain Doge coins, small types of coins, not Bitcoin, but more DeFi altcoins. Less now, obviously, cryptos is still popular, but not what it was during COVID. So most people that are investing using less than $100,000 of a self-directed IRA are generally doing private business stock investments, gold, or hard money loans, right? My friend, my brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, those are not disqualified people. You are able to transact with your sibling. You can lend your sibling 20, 15, $10,000, and it may matter to them, and it may be a good investment for your IRA because, your sibling may be paying you 8%, 10% interest. So you win, your IRA wins, and your sibling wins because they get access to that money to pay their mortgage or, God forbid, health bills or credit card bills. So there are a lot of stuff you can do with less than even $50,000. That being said, again, the average self-directed IRA account is over 100K. But the purpose of today's podcast is to explain that you don't need $1 million to do alternative asset investments. Lots of clients are doing it for 20, 15, $10,000. But don't give up building your IRA. So just because you're in your 20s and say, you know what, I can't even think what's going to happen to me in 30, 40, 50 years. I could put away $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 a year, a few $100 a month. I can do that. But I'm only 25. I'll deal with it next year. And trust me, and here's a perfect example, every year counts. So, use the example, 28 years old, $2,000 a year from 28 to 70, assuming an 8% rate of return. the individual would have $657,000, 166. Okay. Now let's say instead of 28, they start at 30. Okay. They procrastinate for 2 years. So instead of that number, they're going to have 559, right? So at 28, they had 657. At 30 years old, they're only having 559. They lost $100,000 because they delayed their contribution 2 years. That's how much years matter. Okay, so even if you are 18, 19, 20, even if you put $500 away, it matters. Look, here's an example. You're 19 years old and you're going to put away $1,000 a year from 19 to 70. Okay, you get a summer job. You're like, you know what? Out of my summer job earning, I'm going to blow the rest, but I'm going to save $1,000 a year for the rest of my life in an IRA. And if I do that, assuming an 8% rate of return, I'd have $670,000 by just putting $1,000 in a year from 19 to 70. Now, let's say I put it to 18, okay? 725, right? So another 70 grand or so in earnings just on an extra year. So every year matters. That's why I keep saying this stuff needs to be taught in high school. You shouldn't have to watch this on YouTube and learn about it. I always give the example or listen to your Spotify or Apple podcast. I went to law school. Obviously, I went to college. I went to law school. I have a master's in tax law. No one taught me about the retirement system. I actually, until I was an 8th year tax associate and tripped into the self-directed IRA world, I had no idea that you can do alternative assets in a 401k or IRA. I didn't even understand, to be honest, what compounding returns was. Again, I'm a tax lawyer. So how do we expect Joe or Jane that just graduate high school, graduate college, maybe in arts or medical or architecture, engineering, but not focused on tax or finance to understand these concepts? It's our job to teach them, but unfortunately, the U.S. Education system is failing us from a retirement standpoint. So I'm stepping in to help everyone understand that the system is rigged in our favor. All we need to do is take advantage of it. And it's these 3 principles, very simple. Start as early as you can, be consistent, even if you're having a tough year, put in something, $50, $100, just keep your good habits flowing. Thirdly, be patient, trust the process. It's mathematics. It's guaranteed to work. Compounded returns. You will have IRA. You could be a tax-free millionaire. It's not a zero-sum game. We all can do it. So that's today's podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's never too late to start, and you can do this for literally $1. Just start. You may not be able to buy real estate in the first couple of years, but eventually you will, but you got to build it up. So whether you're saving through an IRA, 401k, save, take advantage of the retirement system. It's literally rigged in our favor. Otherwise, appreciate all the support. Thanks for hanging out today. Have a great day, and I hope to see everyone again next week. Take care.